So current councillor and mayoralty hopeful Aaron Hawkins has come out with an idea of making Dunedin the world's first livable wage city. Now that means a livable wage is classed as close to $20. I think it's $19.80, which is about $4.50 more than the minimum wage right now. Aaron Hawkins, he wants to bring in the living wage to Dunedin. He wants to improve the lives for all Dunedinites, I should say, and he is asking if we should also include a Dunedin Dollar, which is based on the Bristol pound, which we'll get to in a second. But first, to the words of Mr. Hawkins himself. He says, "We need to do more to make life better for everybody. My dream for Dunedin is to become New Zealand's first living wage city. That is a city where every worker, regardless of where they work, makes a living wage." $20 an hour, Dave, and a Dunedin Dollar, and potentially a new mayor. Well, mayoralty hopeful. Aaron Hawkins, your thoughts?
I think the idea of being a living wage city is fair enough. How we do that is another matter. He's talking about making it a something that would happen at the council, and I think Wellington Council has done that already, and I think that's a sort of a fair cop, really.
Yeah, he also says larger companies. I guess it's like the Greens very recently put a living wage into all their employees, because I guess your money goes where your mouth is. If they're going to say living wage for everybody, they got to pay a living wage. It would be hypocritical if you supported a living wage to have your employees, your workers, getting a minimum wage. So if that's your stance, then I guess you have to go there yourself. I guess it's interesting because you say the council, and I think it talks about larger companies encouraging it. Really, to make a city with a living wage, it has to be everyone though, doesn't it?
Yes, but I mean, the council doesn't really have, or the mayor doesn't have power over everybody, does he? I mean, he or she can only lead by example, I suppose. So this might go through the council and possibly to their contractors. But apart from that, he really would have to talk everyone else into it.
The other thing that seems to have a little bit of confusion at the moment is the Dunedin Dollar. What is the Dunedin Dollar? Well, again, we find out from Mr. Hawkins that this, quote, the Dunedin Dollar sits alongside our existing currency rather than trying to replace it. Now, let me just explain first of all, and I'm giving just my understanding of it. I guess Aaron Hawkins is the guy to approach with this entirely, but we already sort of have a Dunedin Dollar in New Zealand. It's called a barter card. Now, a barter card is just that. Two businesses agree that they will provide their goods or services for an amount of money on a barter card that can only be spent in areas that accept a barter card. The Bristol pound operates in a similar way. It's not a credit card though, it is literal cash. In fact, we have a graphic of it right here to have a look at. So you can see there are this is the number of places in Bristol that actually you can have the Bristol pound be spent at. And you can see it's a huge number of businesses. So business A receives the Bristol pound, and they're a plumber. So they get paid in that. Business B is a supermarket, and they receive the Bristol pound. So plumber spends his Bristol pound at the supermarket.
And you have to buy the Bristol pounds, don't you? You have to buy them with pounds sterling, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, but then you can change and exchange them between people. So it's really a way to keep money in the economy and in your economy. So apart from the barter card, which I talked about, which is a nationwide scheme, it would be a way that money could stay within Dunedin. Now, is it really that big a deal compared to, like, if you were a plumber and I gave you $100 cash, or I gave you 100 Dunedin dollars, I don't know what difference that would make, because as a local plumber, you're still going to spend it here. But I think people need to understand that it's maybe not the weirdest, craziest, wackiest idea out there. It's being done overseas, and on some levels, with the barter card, it's sort of already being done in New Zealand.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, barter card used to be behind the Warriors, didn't they, back in the old days?
They must be good.
They must have had some money at some point to do that.
I've worked for businesses that do the barter card, and there's lots of businesses you can go and spend, I don't know what you call them, barter dollars, but the barter card.
And I mean, so it's more of a sort of, you'd have to see the social benefit, wouldn't you, of using the Dunedin Dollar. That would be the reason you'd use it, rather than it making more economic sense for you.
Yeah, there's still lots of questions. So, for example, if you are the plumber and I gave you 100 Dunedin dollars, what happens in the tax scheme? How does that get worked out? Would it provide an underground sort of payment scheme outside the tax system? Who's going to make the Dunedin dollars? Would they be easy to counterfeit? There is a lot of unanswered questions, but for lots of people on the ODT Facebook page, at least be open to the conversation, because it's not a crazy, wacky, zany, out there idea. It's currently being done with the barter card in New Zealand. It's currently being done overseas with actual cash. It's a system that just may have some validity.
Who would pay for setting it up though? Ratepayers?
Probably.
That would never go down well.